In this video, we're going to replace the thermostat sender and also install all the works for the heater water pipelines. So in order to install the actual heater and to remove this sensor for the temperature gauge, obviously I need to drain all the coolant, so I'll do that first. Now let me just explain a few things with this sender. So you'll notice this one is the one with the red tip on it. And doing a bit of research, the reason why I want to change it is because one of the red tip, the actual gauge reads a little bit past normal. And if you have a look at these images, these are me using a temperature thermometer gun style laser gun to measure the actual temperature on the cylinders when it's running, and the temperature is fine, so it's not overheating, and it's definitely not spitting out coolant after it's been running either, but the issue is just the gauge is reading incorrectly. So here's another temperature transmitter sender which I purchased, and I'll just show you on here now. This is the Mini Spares in the UK. They have two on their website. They both seem to be black, but that just might be because they're using the same picture. So the model numbers are GTR 101, GTR 104. I'll just flip to the Australian page because this is where I think I got mine from. So this is Mini Sport in Australia. So the one with the red cap, GTR 104, that's the one I'm using. That's meant to be for the Australian minis, but it's reading, the gauge is too high. So this is the one I've purchased, and I think I did get it through Mini Sport. I got it a while ago. So GTR 101, so that's what I'm going to try. And I did like an initial test where I used a coffee cup, obviously not that one, filled with boiling water. So the water was about 90 degrees. That went onto there just to earth it. That went to the earth. And then this, the wire for the sender goes on there. I'll put that into a coffee mug, filled it with boiling water, and the temperature gauge was sort of on normal when it was around about, that water would, by the time it's in the cup, it's about 90 degrees. So hopefully using this sender, when the engine is at normal temperature, the gauge should be a bit before normal rather than over past the normal. Alright, so if you look in there, this is the underneath, that's the bottom of the radiator. I've got to undo that little screw, and there's no clear path for it, so the water is just going to gush through here everywhere. So I've got a pan to capture that. I'm glad I installed this like quick release grill, because that makes things so much easier. I can just put my hand here and undo the tap now, rather than messing around. But still, I might put a funnel under it. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that dripping a bit longer. Thing I wanted to check as well is whether there was any oil in that, and it doesn't appear to be any, which is a pretty good sign then that the head gasket is good. But I'll check that again. This is a brand new oil catching pan. It hasn't been used for oil before, so I'm going to keep this one separate for coolant. Okay, so the next step I need to do is undo the lower radiator hose, because it has a different attachment on there. So that's the replacement hose. So it has this little connection at the top here. Into that will go this little piece here. Ignore that part number, that's not for that. So that's a piece of copper hose or copper pipe, and that goes to this radiator, or to this hose, which will lead to the actual heater core. And then coming back, that goes on top of the engine, and then the heater hose fits onto that. I don't know if that's the correct part number. Heater valve, yeah, that's the one I'm using. So I think it was from one of the Australian suppliers, but obviously they import it from either Mini Spares or Mini Sport. And of course, underneath that I've got a few different gaskets. I'll work out which is the best one to use. That also needs to go on the sender, and I've got some. I'm not going to use the tape on that. I've got actually a high temperature thread sealant, which is that one right there, but I'll replace that after. So I'm up to the stage now where I need to get the hoses sorted out. So that's the panel, or the piece that sits up in the engine bay. That connector, I think, is for the hydroelastic suspension, so that doesn't get used. But these two do. I did have that cover plate on there before. Unfortunately, it's pulled off a bit of the paint, so I need to touch up that. So those holes are what the hoses go through. I've got these rubber grommets. Now, these aren't genuine. This is just a kit I got off eBay with all various different sizes in there. And then that happens to be the right size to fit in there, and then the hose goes through there. It's a bit of a tight fit, but a bit of silicone lubricant and it slid through okay. So I now need to connect up the hoses. So I looked at a few different images on the internet to see how to do that, and also the flow direction in the core. So it seems like it would go in the top and out the bottom. So that's how I'm going to connect it up. Hopefully that's correct. Okay, so it's been a few days, and I wanted to wait a bit of time just to allow the sealant in here to properly harden and set. So what I need to do now is just fill it all up with engine coolant again, run it, and just get rid of any of the air pockets in there. So let's get started. It was given a good run, got it up to temperature. You notice that I sort of checked in here again to make sure the level had obviously dropped, so I'll top that up again. I've got the lid on there. I'm not going to open that up now. The coolant has made its way through the heater because you can feel the air inside. It wasn't actually as hot as like a modern day car, but it was noticeably warmer when you put your hand underneath here. Also the temperature gauge, that's sitting nicely on normal now, which is spot on, so that's the right sender for this actual gauge. What else? Oil pressure, that's fine, that's at 75. Alright, so I still haven't given it a good run to actually test the speedo, because I don't even know if the diff ratio is correct for that actual speedo, so that'll be a trial and error. The next thing to do now is just to make sure there's no leaks in any of those pipes which I played around with. So I'll just let it cool down now, and then we'll just see how it goes. There's no noticeable leaks, nothing here. This mechanism here, there's nothing on there either. I prefer to use this, that's the coolant I'm using. It's a lot more advanced than just using water on its own. And the actual colouring is good too, because if you see any water underneath, you'll know what it's from. So nothing's come out of the overflow yet, but that's expected. So when you do top up the coolant, a bit does overflow. That just goes straight to the road, which probably should have a tank there to capture it, but that's how it is originally. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you can sort of see how to get all of those heater pipes connected up. The probably important bit is just to make sure there's no leaks inside here. I can't see anything, there's nothing wet under here where those hoses are. Hoses are nice and warm, which is good. But yep, no leaks on the floor there. Alright, so I'm happy with that, so I'll leave it there. And thanks for watching my videos.